Hi Laurel Students, it's Ms. Bauer again. I'm going to be doing some more read alouds. I hope you all had a restful spring break and we are back on phase 2 distance learning. So I am going to start with another read aloud. Today is Wednesday, April 22nd, and it's going to be read aloud number 8. And I'm going to hang that right up here so everybody can see where we are. Put that right up there for you guys to see. It might be a little far away. The title, author, and publication of this book is called Go Away, Geese. The author is Susan Buckley, and this publication is the Heinemann publication that you have heard me use before. The genre of this story is clearly nonfiction, and this book has a lot of interesting text features in it. It has the table of contents. It has some headings. It does not have a punctuation guide, and I do not believe it has a map, but it certainly has captions, photos, and this book also has something that we've been looking at. It has some sidebars. So that's going to be kind of interesting and a little bit new for our nonfiction informational text. I'm going to add that here, that it also has some sidebars. This book is focusing on problem and solution. This is informational text, and the author's intention in writing this was to explain or describe a situation. Before we begin, I'm just going to show you some key vocabulary or keywords that you will need to know in order to understand this story, Go Away, Geese. It is a story that is set in New York City, Central Park. This story has a special type of dogs called border collies. They are shepherd dogs, or they are herding dogs. The word herd means to gather or to lead. Shepherd is a person who gathers or leads sheep, sheep. And shepherd dogs are sheep dogs. In this case, however, the border collies are not going to lead sheep. They're going to lead geese. So as I told you earlier, we have a problem in this story, and let's see what the solution to that problem is going to be. Go away, geese. Go away, geese. There is the table of contents for you. What's going on here? That's our heading. Here you can see the picture. It was a spring morning in Central Park in New York City. There were birds everywhere. Birds were singing. They were building nests. They were flying through the air. People were happy to see the birds, all except for the Canada geese. About 300 Canada geese were living in Central Park, and they were making a mess. The geese were eating the grass down to its roots. They were chasing away the ducks and other birds. Worst of all, they were pooping all over the grass and in the ponds. People were upset. What could they do about the Canada geese? So here we have a caption here and a sidebar here. The caption says, Canada geese fly together in a V shape. The geese take turns flying in front to lead the flock. And over here, the sidebar says facts about Canada geese. An adult Canada goose can weigh 20 pounds, about the same as a very large cat or a small dog. Canada geese live in ponds, lakes, and marshes. Canada geese eat grasses, grains, and berries. Now for the reading. The heading is Meet the Geese. Why are Canada geese more of a problem than other birds? To start with, they are big birds, so they poop a lot. If too many geese live in one pond, they will pollute the water with their poop. Geese are also plant eaters. They love to eat grass, so a nice lawn is one of their favorite places to be and to poop. Laurel students know about that because we have a lot of Canada geese on our yard in the mornings before school starts, and sometimes they stay there until PMT starts, and that can really cause a problem. Also, those of you who play ball on the grass, you know all about the Canada geese and the poop that they leave behind. Canada geese were not always such pests. In the past, they were born far north in Canada and Alaska. Each year, they flew south to spend the winter in warmer places. They often stopped in places with grass and water, places like Central Park. But they didn't stay. Then some Canada geese began to change their ways. Instead of flying back and forth, some geese settled down. They began to stay in one place all year long. That's when the problems began. Geese raised families in their new homes. The number of geese grew and grew and grew. I want to show you that really closely because the author has used a little technique there. She has chosen to repeat the words grew and grew and grew. She's using that to help you understand that the Canada geese population is growing. Geese started taking over parks and golf courses and playing fields. People didn't know what to do. They didn't want to hurt the geese, but they wanted them to go away. So we were talking a little bit earlier, and I think that you can probably start to see that we have a problem now. We know what the problem is. There's too many geese in Central Park. The next part of the story is going to start to explain the solution. Before I go on to the next page, there's a sidebar here. It's called Good Parents. A mother goose usually lays from 2 to 8 eggs. She sits on the eggs for almost a month before they hatch. Babies, called goslings, are born in the spring. The mother and the father geese take care of the goslings for about a year. It looks here like people are trying to play golf, but if you can notice, there is a big bunch of geese. They're being pests. So here is a caption describing this picture. Enter the border collie. Over here, we have our new word, border collies. And now we are about to see what border collies look like and what they act like. Meet the dogs. Then a man named David Marks had an idea. David was working at a golf course where 600 geese were living. He decided to try using dogs to scare away the geese. Soon he found the right dogs for the job. Border collies. Border collies are famous for herding sheep. They can make sheep go wherever they want them to go. David discovered that they also are good at scaring geese. How do border collies herd sheep? A person called a shepherd gives a command telling the dogs where to gather the sheep. Then the dogs go into action. First, they race around the sheep. They guide the sheep to where the shepherd wants them to go. Shepherds talk, dogs listen. So here's the sidebar. Most dog owners use commands like sit and stay to tell their dogs what to do. Shepherds use special commands. They use words, whistles, hand signals to tell a dog where to go and what to do. So border collies are mostly black and white. They can have very short hair or fur, I guess we should call it. But sometimes the fur can be a little longer and shaggier. Okay, so the next part is going to show you a little more about this very important breed of dogs called the Border Collie dogs. And as you know, they can herd sheep, but they are being trained to herd geese in this book. This is what it looks like when a Border Collie gives the eye. Border Collies must be trained to work with birds instead of sheep. This dog is herding ducks as part of its training. Then the dogs keep the sheep there. How? They look at them with a hard, steady stare. This is called giving the eye. When Border Collies give sheep the eye, the sheep behave themselves. David Marks's idea was to use the natural skills of Border Collies, but he trained the dogs to work with geese, not sheep. Sometimes when you're reading a book, you think that the picture is perfect and it's explaining exactly what's happening in the book, but you have to be a little bit critical. In this picture, these aren't geese, they're actually ducks. So the author used a picture of a Border Collie herding ducks. Maybe it was the best picture that the author could find, but you have to be a little bit critical, and you have to always remember when you're reading a story, really think about, where did the picture come from? Does this picture match exactly the story? You always have to be a critical reader. The dogs meet the geese. And the caption up here says, Border Collie Pie listens to her handler, Brian. The dog's name is Pie. This is a man, he's a handler. That means he's kind of in charge. He's handling the dog. He's the shepherd. She's the shepherd dog, called a Border Collie. The dogs meet the geese. David's idea worked. He started a company called Geese Police. People called the Geese Police when they have too many geese. The Geese Police use Border Collies to move geese out of parks and off golf courses and lawns. The people who train and work with the dogs are called handlers. Remember, all of those geese in Central Park? The Geese Police came to the rescue. Border Collies like Pie and Max worked with their handlers in Central Park. Dogs and handlers were in the park day and night. Remember, this picture is not a picture of Central Park. So again, be critical readers when you're looking at books with pictures. Border Collie Max watches geese from the shoreline. Max and the other dogs never touched the geese. They just scared them. The dogs moved slowly toward the geese, staring all the time. They gave the geese the eye. To the geese, the dogs looked like a dangerous enemy, so the geese flew away. So now I'm wondering, is this really a picture of Central Park or not? It does give me a good example of how dogs can scare away geese by giving them the eye. So it's a good photograph. I just have to ask myself, is it really Central Park? I'm not sure. The handlers use kayaks to reach geese in the water. There's the border collie. Sometimes the dogs had to take a boat ride to get to the geese. Max and the other dogs rode in kayaks and canoes. They jumped out of the boats to herd the geese out of the park's ponds. Soon the geese began to leave Central Park. The people in charge of the park were happy. The people who used the park were happy. And the geese police were happy too. Max and his fellow workers had done a great job. If you remember, the author tried that technique earlier in this book where she repeated the same phrase over and over. She's done it again here. She says the people were happy, the geese police were happy. So that's a technique you guys could all practice when you do your writing. Maybe you'll do it later today. This is our last page. It's called Good Idea. And what a great picture of a border collie. You can get a really good look at what they look like. Good idea. It's not always easy for people and animals to share the same space. When too many geese want to use people's lawns and ponds, there are problems. David Marks figured out how to help people without hurting the geese. He had a good idea. He tried it out and he made it work. The geese police got rid of the geese, and people in Central Park no longer have to watch out for goose poop. So earlier I told you that this book was a problem and solution book. It is an informational nonfiction text, and the author has presented a problem, and it also presented a solution to that problem. A little bit more about border collies. They're a working dog, and they have been used to herd sheep since the 1800s. Border collies came from an area along the border between England and Scotland, which is where the term border comes from. Herding sheep means gathering sheep together in a particular spot. Border collies are excellent at doing this. But as this book shows, these energetic dogs herd more than sheep. Sometimes on my walks, I see border collie dogs, and I will tell you, they herd children and they herd grown-ups who are walking on the street too, if they're allowed. So this is our story called Go Away Geese, and the geese did go away. Maybe we should consider something like that when we get back to school at Laurel about getting rid of the geese, but usually the PMT teachers use themselves or a few children to herd the geese away. So if you are interested in doing a retell or a summary about this story, don't forget, for kindergarten, first grade, you could retell to a grown-up, you could draw a picture about border collies or geese, or you could write a story using inventive spelling. If you are a second or third grader, you could write a paragraph. Or maybe you're ready to write more than one paragraph summary, a beginning, a middle, and an end. If you are a fourth or fifth grader, you could actually use the table of contents. You could choose some of the sections of the book, and you could write a paragraph about each one, keeping in mind that this is a problem and solution text. So you want to mention in your paragraphs about this retell, the problem is there are too many geese in Central Park, and the solution is to hire the geese police and allow the border collies to scare away the geese using the eye. I think every student knows what the eye is because parents and teachers use the eye quite often when they are trying to get students to listen. So I hope you guys all are restful. I hope that you had a decent spring break. I know it's very strange times right now. I am going to be offering read-alouds at least 3 times a week. I have a Google Classroom, but also to get to my Google Classroom, you should go to your own teacher's Google Classroom page, and there is a section under topics that says either Reading with Ms. Bauer or Ms. Bauer's Readings. So you can go there and you can find some word work. You can get some recommended reading. Hopefully you are all logged into Raz Kids, and also you can watch these videos. This book was a level L, but as you can understand, many children can enjoy this book and understand the text. I will be differentiating the books and be using all different levels so that all children of various reading levels can learn from the books that I share with you. Thank you guys. Have a great day, and I will see you another time.